Would you like to learn how to create your own superfans as an independent artist in the music business? People are talking a lot now about how superfans are the new way to actually make a living in the music business. Well, here's the dirty little secret. This has always been the case. Throughout time, creating superfans that can help you in 3 different areas is extremely important. So if we don't really know what an actual superfan is and what that path looks like to get one, it's going to be very hard to get some superfans. So in today's video, I'm going to be outlining the sort of 4 things you need to know in order to understand superfans better and get some of your own. So the first thing we have to clarify is what exactly is a superfan, because you can have superfans in, like I said, 3 different categories. The first category is a casual superfan. It almost sounds like a paradox. How can you have a casual superfan? Think about this person. This is the person that will stream the music all the time, right? They'll listen to the music all the time, but if a concert comes to town, you won't really see them, right? Or if there's a special that you have going on with your merchandise, they typically don't buy, right? They're just casual listeners, but they're super fans in the domain of casual listening, okay? So that's kind of how you can have a super fan who's a casual super fan. But there's other types of super fans. There's volunteer super fans. These are fans who are literally willing to run your fan club, run your Facebook group, help you out with administrative sides of your music business. Those are volunteer category super fans, and those people can be absolutely invaluable to your music business. But the one I want to focus on today is the financially supporting superfan, right? The superfan who's actually supporting. And this is where a lot of musicians, I think this is what they're really talking about when they say a superfan. I know you can have these other different kinds of superfans, but the one that artists are most likely referring to are the ones that are willing to support them financially so they can build a career. So now that we understand that, the second thing we need to understand are the types of superfans. This is where a lot of people they assume, okay, I want someone who's going to support me financially, and that's about as deep as the conversation goes. But we have to keep going a little bit deeper in the layers to understand a little bit more about who these people are and how we can reach them. So the first thing I would identify are these different superfan types. So let's break down each of these, about 4 of them. The first one are the monthly supporters. So these are people that are willing to give you money every single month. I want to give you an example. My band started a Patreon back in like 2021, ran that for a year or 2, had some people join it. There were some people that were willing to give us anywhere from $180 every year through the fan club to $435. I'm telling you guys, and that person, by the way, I'm gonna go into detail with that a little bit. That particular supporter didn't want anything in return. They wanted our highest possible package that we offered, and they did not ask for anything in return. And when I say anything, I mean they didn't take any of the perks. They literally just wanted to support us. Those people are out there, y'all. People are willing to like, hey, I really like this band. I want them to succeed. I'll throw $17 their way, or this particular artist, I'll throw $17 his or her way. Those people exist, and they're out there waiting to hear your music that's going to make them go, whoa, that was amazing. Like, you want to blow their mind and then them go, I'm going to support you. And that's how I got that particular fan to support in the fan clubs. We played a gig. We put on as impactful of a show as we possibly could, went out and mingled with the fans, and he came up and was like, hey, what's the best way to support you? And I was like, oh yeah, we got stuff at the merch. He goes, I know you got stuff at the merch. What is the best way to support you though? Like, really, what would be the best way? I was like, well, since you're asking, the top tier of our fan club. And he was like, sign me up for that. Okay. And immediately we got a fan club member. So it's all about, finding, well, I shouldn't say it's all about, that particular category is all about finding the people who are willing to give that monthly amount. Now, here's the thing. You'll never figure out if those people are in your ecosystem if you don't have any kind of offering for them, right? If you don't have a Patreon, you don't have a fan club set up through Stripe or something in your website, then there's an issue there, because now how are you going to identify who's going to support you monthly if you don't have a way for them to support you monthly? Think about that for a second. The offer you do not make, the fans cannot take. So be sure that whatever way that you wish your super fans were supporting you, monthly is one of the ways, then you better have a way that they can support you monthly. I know it sounds kind of self-explanatory, but some people want these things but don't have the offers in place and the systems around the offers to actually implement this stuff. So I wanted to tell you that. The second type of fan, or super fan, I should say, that exists out there are the ones that are the event experience enjoyers, right? They like to go out and go to shows. They like to be a part of VIP experiences. Those are different types of fans than the person who's going to support you monthly, right? These are people that are looking to go out and have a good time and have a good experience. And there's different kinds of offers that you can create around experiences. Now, the obvious ones are gigs, but there's other things that you can do. You can have private events for you and your fans. You can do an album release party where it's intimate for only people who've bought tickets or whatever, right? You can make these cool exclusive events. Heck, they can join you in the studio for one of the recording of one of your songs or something. There's different ways to do this, right? So hopefully you understand there's two different kinds we've gone through so far: the monthly supporter and the event enjoyer, you could say. Then we have the merch buyers. Okay, these are the people that, whether it's online or in person at a show, they've got to have a t-shirt, they've got to have a wristband, they've got to have a koozie, they've got to have some kind of thing that they can take either home from the show or they can get online so they can go wear it around at school or at their job or wherever to show off the new gear. Those are different types of people. Now, this is probably the super fan most of you out there have some systems probably set up for. Are the people who are just ready to buy your merchandise, ready to buy your t-shirts, ready to buy your hats, your koozies, whatever you got going on, right? So this is a great place to get started and get things organized. But as we've gone through, that's the third of, three so far, but there's two other ones, right? Most people haven't implemented and integrated the first two offers into their music business, but a lot of you out there have got the third, so I think I'm going to move to the last super fan type here, which is the one-time high-ticket buyers, okay? So we've gone through all the different ones, the people who are willing to buy the fan club, the people who are willing to buy the VIP experience or the day in the studio. You have the people that are willing to buy the t-shirts and the stuff online, but these one-time high rollers are willing to buy the high-ticket stuff, and they're not afraid of it. So for example, one of our fans was, instead of buying our fan club month to month, they did a year all at once. So they spent $197 one time to pay for the whole year of fan club at the top level on the new adaptation that we had. It was like the fan club 2.0. And that shows you right there, we have people, and not just we, but there are people out there, because I'm telling you right now, we're not the biggest band in the world. And I would never pretend to y'all like I'm some mega star. But my thing that I talk about here and that I live out in my business is finding ways to make an income as an artist without having to have the biggest fan base, known to man. Now, granted, if you can get the biggest fan base known to man, that's obviously preferable, right? But when we're starting out, we have to figure out how to run our music business lean and mean, trying to figure that out as an independent. It also kind of depends on what game you're in too. And most of the people I'm talking to right now, you understand, are the original artists who are out there trying to promote their original music. They're not really doing sync stuff. They're really just focusing on branding themselves and getting themselves in front of their dream fans so that they can, create that relationship and start getting their music known to the people who care about it. And what I like to show people is that a lot of people think that the super fan is like a mythical unicorn, right? I see in threads and other places all the time how people, whenever you bring up the 1,000 fan theory, how many of y'all have heard of the 1,000 fan theory? This is a theory, by the way, if you haven't heard of it, that states that if you can get 1,000 people who love your music to spend $100 in a year, you just made $100,000 in a year from your music, right? And the math checks out. But here is where a lot of people get stuck, is they hear that. I need 1,000 people to give me $100 in a year, and that's what's going to solve my problem. And then they think, like, who's going to give me $100 in a year? And sure, like I talked about some of my one-time high roller fans that have came in and said, I want to buy the top thing, just give me that, I'll pay it off one time, right? Instead of having to do the month-to-month thing. Those people are there, but thinking you're going to find 1,000 people like that is kind of misunderstanding the true essence of the 1,000 fan theory. And so I'm going to dive into that into point number 3, right? I call this the averaging plan. So the averaging plan is not like you try to be average as in mediocre, but you try to find what the average amount of sales required by each of those previous categories I just mentioned. The monthly supporters, the event enjoyers, the merch buyers, the one-time high rollers. You got to figure out what is the average that these people need to spend in order to create this 1,000 times 100 type effect, okay? So you can think about it like, think about averaging out, and this isn't like getting you to 6 figures immediately, but I just want you to start thinking about numbers in your music business, because this is actually going to start helping you a lot because you're looking clearly at what's happening. In the averaging plan, you can look at like 10 monthly supporters on your $17 a month fan club, which, by the way, the person who I was mentioning earlier, who's been on, I was mentioning Glenn, who was the 430 guy. But one of the people that recently joined is from Australia, and she pays $17 a month, right? So people are like, who's going to pay me $17 a month? I want to make a little side note. That self-defeating mindset will be poison in your music business. Thinking, who would ever buy anything from me? Well, I guarantee you nobody if you think about your music and your music business like that. This is being straight up here. Like, you have to have some modicum of confidence in what you provide and understand that it is valuable. And there are people out there, like, I guarantee you, if people, I don't mean any shade out there to my black metal viewers because I love you, but I can't listen to black metal. And the fact that there are tens of millions of people who love that genre should give you confidence that, like, all the black metal fans are very angry that I just said that. They're like, what? And I'm like I said, I love you guys. It's just not for me. It's not my cup of tea, even though I'm a metal guy. But it should make you confident that even if people can listen to, like, you know, there are people out there for you. I guarantee you. Like, there's no way there's not. So you have to figure out where these people are. And we've talked about this in other videos, so make sure to watch those after you watch this one, where we talk about the Dream Fan Avatar and how to build that out and all that good stuff. But I want you to think about it like this. If you have 10 monthly subscribers at $17 a month, that's $2,040. $2,040 every single year, mind you. Right? And so think about that for just a moment. In the 1,000 fan theory, most people would have interpreted that data a certain way. They would have said it like this. They would have said, like, okay, I'm trying to get 1,000 people to spend $10 a month, or I'm sorry, if I gave, what's 10, or yeah, 10 divided by 12, it's a little, like, you can call it $8, we're going to call it. So let's say someone spends, well, you don't call it 9. That's a typical sales price, 9. People charge $9 for stuff all the time, right? So if you have a fan club subscription, most people would think, okay, I charge $9 and I need to get 1,000 people in at this amount. And so what I try to do is, no, don't think about it that black and white in regards to the 1,000 fan theory. Think about it more in terms of, okay, if I get 10 people to spend $17 a month and you extrapolate that over a full year, the math is about $2,040, right? So, like, you look at that and you think to yourself, well, okay, that just accounted. If you think about the 1,000 fan theory, you have people spending $100 a year. Divide that, that's 20. Oh, actually 24. No, 20. 20 in a percentile of a person. Just a tiny little percent, like the corner of their pinky toe, right? So you get one person and a pinky toe. Sorry, I'm goofy. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm goofy. That's just what happens sometimes on these videos. If you're new here, it just comes out sometimes. So understand though, like, that's not as many people as you would think. It's like, wait, so I get 10 people to pay me to pay me $17 a month, which means I'm making $170 a month, right? And so then you extrapolate that times 12, and so we're getting somewhere around like I said, like $2,040. I think that math is right. Double check me in the comments. So, okay, let's go to the next category though. So we got 10 people in the previous category. Far cry from 100, and we've already crossed many, 1,000 fans there. 20 of them with only 10 monthly supporters because the math of 17, right? Hopefully you guys are following me. If I'm not making sense, drop in the comments and say, dude, I'm not following you at all. Okay? So the next category that we want to look at is the experience buyers, the people that want to go to the events and stuff. If you can have 15 people over the course of a year buy your $60 VIP, right? It's not a $200 VIP, but it's a $60 VIP. Let's keep it real conservative. You're going to get about $900 by the end of it. 15 people at $60 a piece, $900 at the end of the year. Okay, think about that. We've just got to almost $1,000 again from 15 people. This isn't $100 a year. We're trying to get higher numbers than this. So I'm looking at the average. Okay, if I can get 15 people in a year to give me $60, that's going to give me $900. If I can get 10 people to give me $17 a month, that's going to get me a little over $2,000. So if you put those two things together, it's like $2,900, $2,940. So, okay, I'm at 3,000. Okay, let's think about the merch buyers now. Okay, we got 20 of them. Let's say we need a little bit more of them, right? So in a year, we need 20 merch buyers to spend $30, and that's going to give us, about $600, right? We could keep trying to get it closer to 1,000 each time, but you want to keep it somewhat realistic and start to figure out at scale how you can rise to that. So we're at, what would that be now? We were at 2,940 plus 600, that's 3,540. So we're at $3,540 now from, what is that, 45 people? Okay? We're getting closer, right? And so you can start to see, I guarantee you, by the way, there would be lots of musicians out there that would be tickled to death if they were making $2,000 a year from their music and it was purely from offers that their fans were supporting them with. I bet a lot of people would be tickled to that. I know some of y'all out there are out there spending lots of money because you're in the touring game. I know I've been in that game too. And I know some of y'all are like, dude, I need more than $2,000. Well, we can scale up from there. And also, we haven't considered the one-time high rollers. So let's say you get 5 people to spend $200. All right, now we're looking at like $1,000. So we've got another additional 1,000. We got $4,040 or $4,540 based off of, that would be about 50 people now. So you see that we're reaching the 100 limit and we're not at 6 figures. And you may be like, oh, that's disappointing. But I think that's missing some of the core elements of this, is the practical real world implementation of the 1,000 fan theory. I think looks a little bit more like this. It's not usually one stream coming in to the point where you're making $100 per person from these first 1,000 people, right? But you have to understand that you're figuring out how to average it. You're averaging out, okay, how many subscriptions to my fan club do I need to make X? How many merch sales a month do I need to make Y? How many, you can go through that. You figure the numbers for yourself and figure out for your goals what you're trying to achieve. And you can sort of reverse engineer this stuff, okay? So hopefully I didn't lose you too much going through the numbers of the average plan. But figure out for yourself, what are those easiest milestones that you can get to? Can you get 10 people into your fan club right now? Just focus on that. Get those 10 people in there. Boom, you got $2,000 a year coming to your music business. All right, knock that out. Let me focus on getting more VIP experiences. And you think about it, a VIP experience you can do multiple times throughout the year. So you've got many chances to get people to buy this. I think the last time, it's been a minute since we've done a VIP because at our home shows we've been trying to leverage other bands, so we're not the headliners, so we haven't been doing the VIP experience. That also because of venue access and things like that. But when we were doing it consistently throughout a year, we did it probably 2 or 3 times in a year. And each time we were increasing the price. We started at 60, then we went to 65, then we went to 70. And each time, we had slightly less people. It went from 7 people to 5 people to 4 people, right? But we still had 4 people come and do the VIP thing, and we did an acoustic session for them and all this kind of stuff. And for me, people will be like, oh, you only had 4 people at VIP. I'm like, dude, take 4 times 70, add it to our pay at the end of the night. I'm very happy to let them check out sound check, play an acoustic set for them, answer some questions, get them some merch bundles, and take a picture with them. Or give them early access parking and all this kind of cool stuff. I'm happy to do that, right? Because it's a way that I can provide value for them and they provide value back to me as an artist. And that's something you can utilize as well. A lot of people just don't provide it because they don't think people will buy it. That's the sad truth about most offers in the music business, is people don't offer it because they think nobody will buy it. But the truth is nobody can buy it if you don't offer it. So I would rather you have an offer that doesn't sell than to not have an offer no one can buy. Because then you may have been missing out on sales and you wouldn't know it. Whereas if you have the product and you're not making sales and you get trickles of sales, you know you weren't leaving money on the table. Where those people could have been looking for an offer for those of you that don't have anything and they can't buy anything, so they don't. And they go to somebody else. So, yeah, it's like that Michael Jordan quote that was used in The Office, and that's like the only association I have with it anymore is, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Michael Jordan, Michael Scott. But you have to think about this. This is the plan. This is step 4. You could think about it. Now that we know what kind of superfan we're talking about, what are the different types of those supporter superfans that will give you money financially? What is the average amount of people that we can start to get into each of these categories to start accumulating some wealth as an artist? And now the plan is, okay, first of all, you've heard me say it throughout this entire video, we need to build out the offers, okay? So the first 2 offers that I recommend building out that are essential are your lead generation offers. That's a fancy business phrase that means getting more fans. So any kind of offer that you can provide that gets people to know about you and maybe join your email list. That's my favorite lead generation examples. I go out there and I provide some value to the marketplace. I get some fans up there and then I say, hey, I got something cool for y'all. You want this cool thing? You can join my email list. Great way to do this. So you have that, and then you can attract ideal fans. So attracting ideal fans is about marketing, right? It's about the core fundamentals of marketing and messaging. When you think marketing, I want you to think messaging. Right? Marketing, messaging, because messaging is how you attract the right people and repulse the wrong people, right? That's what we're trying to do. For those of you that don't know, I take a very direct response approach to the music business. I am not trying to appease the masses, change who I am to fit what might be a preferable perception of me to the masses. And I don't think most of you out there watching this would like to do that either. I think you guys are very similar in that sense where you're like, okay, yeah, I want to be authentic. I want to be who I am. I just want people to like me for who I am, not for who they wish I was and me trying to be someone who I'm not. So as a creator, it's about then putting the right messages out there that attract the people who are genuinely attracted to who you are authentically. Okay? So a lot of people don't think about what their brand is about, who they are from a brand standpoint, which, by the way, a brand, for some people, misconstrue what a brand is. All it is the associations that you either give because you engineer it or that people have of you by default. That's your choice. But a brand is just that association that people have of you in their mind. So, if I'm somebody who owns a very fancy jewelry store, what you'll notice is that I'm wearing expensive suits, and then I have fancy watches and rings, and I'll wear a necklace, and I'll have, potentially if I'm a female, I'll have earrings, or even if I'm a male, I'll have earrings, and you'll have all these different jewelry pieces on. That's kind of demonstrating like this is what I'm about. Clearly, I own a shop that sells it, so I live it because I'm into this stuff. That's an authentic way that someone who's living that life can sell their thing and be in a brand position because they're like, I know who I am, and this is just who I am. A lot of artists think they have to change who they are to attract the right fans. But by definition, if you have to change who you are to attract the right fans, you are trying to attract the wrong fans. I hope that makes sense because if you're who you are authentically, you will be attracting the right people. And if you are being someone you're not, you will attract the wrong people. And then what happens is you have artists who get in this position, attract a bunch of fans that don't really care who they are authentically. And so when they start to share that side of themselves, they could care less because they've attracted the wrong fans, right? So those fans don't care. So it's really important to figure out the messaging that you're going to put out there. So I'm going to give a couple examples to help y'all out. Let's say you're an 80s synth artist, right? I've got a couple clients that actually happen to fall into that realm. And so you're thinking about, okay, what are situations that occurred in the 80s that are nostalgic, that people think about, and it's like a very easy association. So you could think about Sunglasses Kid did a great job taking AI images of like luxury lofts and then putting I believe it's the white text, headline that says POV, you're a detective in the 80s and you just went back to your apartment loft because you can't crack the case or something, or you just cracked the biggest case of your life and you're going back to your loft. And it set the mood to where the Sunglasses Kid's music served as the backdrop and the backbone emotionally for this entire story that's being created. So it's like your content is painting visually so that when you introduce your music, it's a perfect match, right? So that's one approach, by the way. That's just one, to attract the people that are into that thing, give them what they like about it, and then tie your music into it, right? That's one aspect of attracting the right people. It also is about like establishing in-group terms from out-group terms. So for example, my metal musicians out there, we have a lot of in-group preferences. We'll call it that. Instead of just hating other genres. We have in-group preferences. So metal musicians, again, I'm painting with a broad brush, but typically there's this idea that, pop music isn't genuine. It's like McDonald's for music. It's surface level. And then this music is raw. It's emotional. It means something. So that us versus them positioning, using those in-group phrases and terms, helps position you as attractive to the people that are already in that particular group because you're speaking their language. You're throwing rocks at the same things they throw rocks at. And I know it's like you can throw rocks at things in a non-mean-spirited kind of way. So don't think I'm saying be mean-spirited, but you can throw your flag in the ground and say, this is where I stand in a playful way. Where are all my people? And attract as many people that align with you authentically as possible, right? So that's the second part of the plan, right? So at first we have to build the offers because we know, okay, if I've got these offers, now when I get fans, I can go, hey, what's going on? This goes good for you. You're just joining. Here's a free thing. This offer goes good for you. And you can pair your offers to the new fans that come in as opposed to trying to build them when you've already got them. And then sort of sometimes the honeymoon phase dies down, because that is kind of true. And it's up to us as artists to maintain the honeymoon phase as long as possible with the fans. So when that spark gets lit, where someone joins and becomes a fan, it's our job to try to keep that as lit as long as possible. But we have to understand that there's a certain moment when someone just becomes aware of you and they become a big fan of yours. They're sort of sometimes at their peak of excitement and, for lack of a better phrase, infatuation with you. So even though sometimes it's not that extreme, but you get the idea that at a certain point you're going to have to say, at this moment of peak interest in me as an artist, this is going to be the hottest time to capitalize on the fact that they would be willing to support me. Whereas maybe time goes on and they're not willing to support you. It's very possible that you attract some people, you don't have any offers, then you change a little bit stylistically, you make an offer, and now the old fans that would have taken your old offers will not take your new offers because they're not fans of your new sound. Right? And again, I'm not saying you should revolve your music business around that decision, that whether people are going to buy or not, but I'm trying to show you that like the mindset and the consequences of not having your offers built out already, so that when you get fans who are excited about you, you can get them to take action then, because then they could have got something cool and enjoyed the experience more of when they did like you. Because think about it like this. I really liked the band Shinedown. I liked them for their first 4 records. After the 4th record, they changed stylistically, and now it's not my cup of tea. So I don't enjoy them as much as I used to. And because of that, I don't support them as much as I used to. I mean, financially. Back in the day, I would buy the records. I would buy the concert tickets and the VIP backstage meet and greets. I would buy all these different things. And then once they changed to the point where I didn't like them, I stopped supporting. But the fact I was able to buy those things and go to those concerts and go to those experiences gave me a way to enrich the time in which I did enjoy that artist. Gave me inspiration for my music and stuff. And so that time was really rich. And then once the band inevitably reached a point where I wasn't interested in them anymore, I had already given them a whole bunch of support for the stuff that I did like, and they capitalized on it, and good for them. I'm glad they did, so I could have the experiences and the value that I got as a result of it. And so we want to look at it from that perspective. And this is a little side note that just crossed my mind. I'm just going to touch on it ever so slightly, but I know it's going to make some people mad, but it needs to be said. I was happy that Shinedown sold me meet and greet VIPs and tickets, because the experiences I had were so incredible as a result. But some people are bad buyers, and so they turn into, I was going to say a bad word, crappy salespeople. So, because, I mean, think about this for a second. If the only association you have with buying something is this negative experience, then when you go to sell something, subconsciously you're telling yourself that you were about to give that negative experience to other people, because you've associated buying things with negativity. And so now when you go to sell things, you're associating negativity with fans buying that because they're doing the thing that you don't like. You know what I'm saying? Deep down on a subconscious level. So one of the things that I've found is that the more grateful I was to buy things, the easier it is to sell things. Think about that for a second. Because when I started to buy things, I started to get skills and learn how to be a good buyer. Like, I learned things from mentorships that if I didn't take action on those things, the amount behind I would be in my career, in my life, is, I can't even imagine. It's kind of scary to think about. I haven't really thought about it that deeply because I don't want to. Because I enjoy life after being educated and getting those results than I do thinking about what could have been, right? So we have to think about building the offers out. I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Like I said, being a good buyer can make you a better salesperson because you're not associating selling somebody as like something negative that you are inflicting upon them, right? Because when you buy something that you enjoy, it's a positive experience. When you go to Guitar Center or to Sweetwater and you buy that piece of gear that you've always been wanting, it's a positive experience, right? Because you want and desire the thing. The problem is most people don't believe other people could desire their thing. I had to convince my band to do a VIP because they were convinced nobody would view us to such a level to buy a VIP. But I said, guys, we'll never know unless we offer it. And then the first time we did it, we had 7 people buy it at $65. It was 65? Yeah, it was 65, not 60. $65. And so it was like, it blew. Now they don't mind doing VIPs because they understand the belief is broken now that they have an offer that people are willing to take. So it's just about offering it for the people who are willing to take it, and the people who don't want to take it, they can go experience the show without the VIP, right? So the last part of the plan is having a system. Having a system to which, now that you have attracted the right people with the right messages and repelled the wrong people, you have a way to drive them into your email list or your text list and communicate with them so that they build a connection with you as an artist even deeper. And that way, when you actually make the ask and you say, would you be willing to support me by buying this ticket, going to this thing, buying this offer that I've put together for you? They actually want to. They desire to do so. And that's the power of selling with storytelling, is you can get them to desire to want to help you without saying you're going to sell anything. And then when you offer something, they are in the mindset to actually want to buy from you. Wouldn't that be awesome, right? That's the power of storytelling. And that's why I say drive them into the email list, because now you can do that storytelling directly. There's no algorithm that's preventing you from getting out to all your people and all that crap. There's just a one-on-one connection that you have with your potential buying, supporting super fans, right? Otherwise, they're just fans, which is cool. It's good to have fans. But businesses, I would argue, Music businesses are not built by fans. They're built by super fans. Because most fans are so casual in their support that it doesn't amount enough to actually benefit the artist enough to make a living. So I don't say that to make people feel bad for being fans as opposed to super fans, but I hope you understand that as an artist, the goal is not to have as many fans as possible. The goal is to have as many super fans as possible so that it doesn't matter how many fans you have, because you have the super fans that are going to support you and they're going to give you a stable table upon which your music business can rest financially. And that's, to me, the frameworks and understandings needed to actually not only know what a super fan really is, but to actually start getting some of your own. So let's recap a little bit so it's super crystal clear. A super fan is somebody, in this context of this discussion, someone who's willing to support you financially. We have the 4 different ways that we want to build offers around to get people to support. That's monthly, right? You want to have MRR, monthly recurring revenue, fancy business stuff, right? Event and experience buyers, people that want to buy the VIP experiences or the day in the studio or the album release private show, day in the backyard, whatever, right? Those kind of things. Those experiences, we need to figure out how can I create offers around that, because there's people that buy that way. There's merch buyers. Most of you probably have got a print by demand store or actual merchandise that you sell physically. And then the one-time high rollers. This is where a lot of people struggle, is they don't have offers that are high roller enough. They don't have high ticket offers. And I would say, again, you're not creating this because you're trying to force every single fan into this high ticket offer, but you're making it available for the fans who can afford it and want to. So just wanted to make that delineation there so some people don't get confused about it. And then, so now that you understand that those are the ways that people buy, how can we now figure out averages to help get the ball rolling? So I did a rough example of like 10 monthly listeners at $17 a month gives you, $2,040. And then the 15 experience buyers at $60 each gives you $900. So that's $29.40, and then you get the 20 merch buyers who spend $30 each, which is $600. So you add the $600 to the 29, so that's $35.40. And then you see what I'm saying? You start figuring out these averages that you can get to get that first floor. Now let's say at the end of this, you're only making $10,000 a year, $5,000 a year, $3,000 a year from your music. For a lot of people, that's an insane improvement, okay? And once you have that, you can figure out how to do 2 things. You can figure out how to scale, meaning just grow and get more people in so that those averages increase. Maybe you get 20 monthly subscribers, 30 experienced buyers, 40 merch buyers. You see what I'm saying? And then those numbers start to go up. Or you figure out how to get more fans to buy more of the offers, right? So it's actually, this is the last little business tip thing I'll end with here, which is that it's more expensive to acquire a new fan than it is to sell to an existing fan. So until we've maximized both sides of that coin, we're not going to have a music business that's thriving, right? So I'm today focusing on that side of the coin of figuring out how to maximize what you're selling to your existing audience in a way that's providing value, but also in a way that's creating a music business that is sustainable. So if you got some value from today's video, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, leave a comment, all that good YouTube-y stuff. And if you'd like some one-on-one help, getting these systems built inside of your music business and having an actual way to implement it, then we have a call that you can apply for. The link is in the description. So if you're interested in that, awesome. But if not, no worries. I look forward to seeing you on another video inside of Musicians Ignite. Take care.